Hi everybody, I'm Stacy with Stacy's Organizing and Decorating for Life. I'm here to help you organize your thoughts and decorate your perspectives. So today our topic is going to be about negativity, acceptance, and hope. And who's not dealing with that today and doesn't want less of this and more of that? And how do we get there in the middle? So if you like that's going to be our topic today, please hit the like and subscribe button below. So before we get started, I do want to remind you that I have a webpage, that I am a life coach. I'm not a doctor, psychologist, psychiatrist, scientist, or any of those things, but I like those things. And I have a webpage called stacyforlife.com. And on this webpage, I write a monthly blog, and I invite you to check that out. But there's also a description of the services that I provide as a life coach, dealing with addiction, codependency, and grief, but not exclusively to those things. But many people watching this video have dealt with that in some way, shape, form, or another, if not for themselves, with somebody else. And so today's topic is going to kind of get into that. But more than just dealing with that, is some people that I deal with are not addicts and they're not codependent. Maybe they're not codependent. And, I think we all deal with grief in one way or another. There's 500 different types of grief, so chances are we've dealt with different aspects of grief. But underneath that lies a desire for healing and healthy relationships, as well as development of spiritual and soul consciousness. So if you or anyone you know needs that, just to feel comfortable in their own skin, then please feel free once again to look me up at stacyforlife.com. I've got to tell you that I'm videotaping. I know, right? I'm videotaping today on a different device, and so I'm really excited about it, but my eyes may be looking wonky and somewhere else because the camera on this device is different from where the camera was on my old device. So I'm pretty excited about that. This is a new year, and what I did was I bought another computer that I can do my videos on, that I can do my sessions on, and that I can also do writing on. So I will be able to take it with me should we get to travel. So that's part of my goal setting. But back to today's topic, which is going to be on, how do we deal with negative people? We're all dealing with some kind of negative people right now. There's so many people that are very opinionated and that they know what's going on. So how do we deal with that? Or they have their preconceived notions, their thoughts and their perspectives about things that have been going on for a while, and so we're going to take a look at that, because maybe you're dealing with it at home, maybe you're dealing with it at the workplace, maybe you're dealing with it amongst friends, but all of us are dealing with it on some degree or another. If you turn on Facebook or the TV or what have you, it's just opinions, thoughts, perspectives. What I try to do here is, when we're talking about and sharing about thoughts and perspectives, I try to keep it to where, the thoughts and perspectives express themselves through our words, actions, and deeds. So whether they're negative, positive, encouraging, or not, that's where they're coming from, is where, they're expressed that way. So oftentimes, I've been talking to my friend Jennifer again, and I always am so grateful to Jennifer. I really value her thoughts themselves and her perspectives on things, and she values mine, so hence we share and decide to do these videos. So, in talking about negative people, is sometimes that people may say, and I've heard this twice this week, so I'm just going to use this for an example, is that, once a drug addict, always a drug addict. So when we look at that statement, maybe somebody has been hurt by an addict, because that's what happens, usually, is addicts do have a tendency to hurt people, hence why we work the steps so we can clean up our wreckage of our past. I know for me, I may not say on a daily basis that I'm an addict, but I know that in my prayers, what I do say is that I'm always praying for the addicts that are struggling in and outside of the room. And addiction touches so many areas of people's lives, that some people, may possibly be addicted and not know they're addicted, and some people may be addicted and not even see. Our first step in our addiction workbook talks about are our actions inconsequential? And so a lot of people ask me, Stacy, what does this mean? And so what that means is that we think that our actions aren't affecting anybody else but us. So we think that they're inconsequential, but they do affect other people. So somebody, who may say once an addict, always an addict, and they may say it in a term where it sounds derogatory, negative, and it may sound, they've probably been hurt or burned, or they have this, maybe they, grew up with somebody saying that kind of statement, and they're just repeating what they heard. This is a sad thing. This is why I bring these videos to you every week, is so that we can change our thoughts and our perspectives in those old tapes, so that we can be more expansive. And I've even had friends say to me, Stacy, you really give me hope as far as this addiction thing goes, because maybe they've not had an example in their life of somebody who has been addicted and who has cleaned up the wreckage of their past. And usually in addiction, what we do is when we do clean up the wreckage of our past, as it turns out, we become very acceptable, responsible, and productive members in society. And because it is anonymous, most people, may or may not know when they're talking to somebody who is indeed an addict. So that's one form. Addiction, like I was saying, it covers many different places. There's the obvious with drugs, or alcohol is a drug, but there's that. And there's the overeating addiction. Some people have that, and they may think it's inconsequential, that they're just hurting themselves. Some people are addicted to smoking. Some people are addicted to gambling. Some people are addicted to sex. And sometimes people are addicted to video games. Sometimes people are addicted right now to social media and the drama. And like I said last week, that I would really like us not to give drama a negative connotation. It's like what I try to do with these videos, and I hope that you will learn to look deeper than all of that. What is it that's drama? And this week I was talking to somebody about drama and just that. And so what is drama? So drama can be overbearing, is what one person described it as. So are we being overbearing? Rather than just drama, a blanket statement, what is it that is bothering us about another person's behavior? See, we can't heal until we can describe it and understand what's going on there. And then we can get into acceptance, the next part of this segment. So we start understanding what is it really, just rather than a label. This is why I tell y'all I don't like labels. So even though I don't label myself every day as an addict, my knowing that I'm an addict every day, because it's been 23 years now, y'all, so I don't have to remind myself anymore. But the thing is by knowing this every day and embracing and accepting my addiction, it allows me to go forward and to know that I can stay in moderation. See, if y'all think I have moderation, that I've just genetically had some moderation, that's a ixnay, that's wrong. Because I don't just normally know moderation. I have gotten into acceptance that if I like something, I could like it too much. And so having gotten into acceptance of that, I can now moderate, because I know that I need to, watch it. And it's not like it's a chore anymore. It has been times in my life where I had learned to moderate. Say I got addicted to boba tea, and this is true, I really did. I loved me some boba tea, and I would have loved to have boba tea like twice a day, and a lot of people don't think that that's excessive, but really treats like that, only if we can get it once a day, that's a good thing. So, but what I learned was when I was drinking on the boba teas, the cold boba teas with the little things in the bottom, was that it would hurt my teeth. It wasn't good for me, so that's telling me, Stacy, you need to watch out on this. This is the thing, is that people will do these things and then take a medicine or a drug to cover up that it's not good for them. So really it's just masking. So this is why I'm suggesting to you, if you want to label something, then to look underneath it. So let's not call something drama, let's call it overbearing, or let's call it excessive, or let's call it what it is, and what bothers us about that, and see how we can become into acceptance about, when have I felt this way before about this kind of situation. So then we can get into acceptance, just like I'm in acceptance of my addiction. I'm really grateful for my addiction now, because I liken myself to, as I've mentioned it before, as George in A Wonderful Life, because if I'd have gone one path, then I would have been not in a not so positive place. I would have been in a very negative place. But having taken the path that I took, I was able to do something where I am able to help others, and be of service. And that's so very important to me. How do you pause this thing? Hold on, y'all. All right, let me turn this off so we don't have that. So I don't know how to edit, and that in itself is a gift, So it's being able to find those gifts in those old labels that we think, I mean, my mom, I have tattoos, and my mom at first, she used to not like when people had tattoos, but she's met many of my friends that have tattoos now, and she's like, I didn't like tattoos till I met this person or that person, and the reason she didn't like tattoos was probably because somebody that she knew in her family had, told her, we don't like people with tattoos. So sometimes we have to realize who we are and take our power back. In talking to somebody else, I was talking yesterday about programming, is that, when we're watching TV and we're watching this stuff that has negative stuff, it's called programming. And so we really have to be mindful about what we are putting into our body. And that's part of acceptance too, because if we're putting something in our mind, body, or soul that doesn't resonate with us, that doesn't, that brings about fear or brings about this, then maybe we need to look at what we're putting in our mind, body, and soul so that we can then regulate and that we have something that's, to balance that, to put us in harmony, because maybe you feel like you need to be informed on the latest events. But I can tell you right now that I'm going to talk about algorithms like I've talked about before. And whatever you're feeding into your mind will go into your body and soul as well, or cover up your soul, because your soul is divine. Your mind is the other part, the thinking part. And so, your body is your vehicle for getting through this stuff. So if you're feeling sick and stuff, it could possibly, it's not just what you're putting in your body, it's what you put in your mind and your soul too. Are you forgetting that you are divine? So these are the things that we can look at to get us into acceptance and then get us into hope. Because if you keep watching negativity and participating in negativity, then you can't get into acceptance. So if a person is saying to you or somebody else, or giving you some of their old tapes, we have to understand that this is theirs. This is their old tapes, and it doesn't apply to us. And then later, maybe we need to learn how to communicate. So if they say something, we could say, isn't that interesting that you say that? So what do you mean when you say that? So that maybe we can get a clearer understanding. But I know that with working with people like I do, that oftentimes it isn't until people say it out loud or are questioned about something that they then turn and question themselves. And then we can gain a conversation and understanding. This is the thing, though, is we have to watch our dialogue. Like I said, our expression of words, actions, and deeds. So our dialogue needs to not sound like we're put off with them or something else when we simply just want to ask a question. Yes, Grinch. Because it's to learn about each other and not come from a place of being offended, but to be able to have compassion. So I would suggest, like we say in our programs too, is to pray for this person. If there's somebody that you're dealing with at work, if there's somebody that you're dealing with at home, if there's somebody that you're dealing with in whatever area and element, and I know many people are praying for the country, praying for different governments, praying for different things, but quit allowing what you think is supposed to happen. That's where we can get into acceptance, is when we can quit allowing, because we're willing to accept what we want, but we're not willing maybe to accept what somebody else is. And maybe you don't need to, but maybe we need to have an understanding. I believe that that's what we all need right now, and that's where we can get to hope, is if we can just get to, I agree to disagree, or I can listen to you and not agree with you, because I have these conversations all the time where I'm listening to people, and I don't have to agree with them, but people just want to be heard. And I heard that over this week too, is, that I went back to Texas where my home is, and I got to see many people, and there's so much going on, in America with all the different things, but I'm able to take from these conversations what I need, and that's what we're also told too, is to take what you need and discard the rest. And so that's how we get into acceptance. That's how we get into, spiritual principles, if you want that. Now, if you don't want spiritual principles, then maybe you like living in the chaos and drama, and that's okay. Just, be okay with it, and realize that if you like that, then to be forefront with it and not be offended, be an acceptance of that within yourself, so that other people can be acceptance too. Because I don't like chaos and drama, but I can understand why some people would like drama, because really the word drama, this is the thing, the word drama, and this is the problem I have with it, in itself is not bad. People have been doing dramatic things since, the days of Rome, since way before people used to act out stuff dramatically. There's nothing wrong with drama in itself. So it's knowing what is underneath that, and we're seeing so much in these opinions that I think that that's what we mean by negativity when we're saying negativity, and it is the way that people's words, actions, and deeds are coming out, which is from this, how they express themselves. So can we have more compassion for somebody who has been, brought up to think that people with tattoos or that people that have drug issues are that doomed for life? There's been so many people that have proven that differently. So we all know as a collective soul that that is different, that yes, I'm still a drug addict myself. I have 23 years clean, but I am still an addict. And I have to remember that because addiction manifests in a variety of ways. So when we've claimed to be an addict in one way, acceptance is knowing that we could be addicted to another thing in another way, and so when we're unhappy with these things outside of ourselves, if we can go within and learn how to describe that feeling rather than just saying, oh, that's just drama, and a lot of words have drama, and it's okay. I'm not saying just not to say drama, but I'm saying if we could think and understand what it is about drama, what is the thing, or that you're labeling somebody dramatic? Is it that they're really actually overbearing, and maybe you need to pray for that person to be less overbearing, and or for you to see them the way that God would have you see them? Because that's where I've gotten to forgiveness on a lot of situations with myself and others, and acceptance, because usually when we get into acceptance, there is some forgiveness there for our perceived ideas of the way that somebody is, and it doesn't make us feel good to have these perceptions of somebody else that's less than divine, where we get to hope, so I hope that we can be willing to see things differently, because that's where the hope is going to lie, is how would you have me see this? Now this goes even deeper, because you can't always hope on somebody who's not willing. If you're dealing with an addict who doesn't want help, well then you have to set boundaries. So I want you to understand that, is that sometimes people don't want help, no matter what it is. There's people that get treated for cancer that continue to do whatever the deal was that gave them cancer. I know I had a friend who had cancer, and she said she wasn't going to quit smoking. She was going to drink Coke, so she decided not to do the chemotherapy, which was a wise choice, I believe, for her. I'm not saying everybody's going to do that, but she just owned it. She was like, I'm not going to quit smoking. I'm not going to quit drinking Cokes like was suggested. So she decided she wasn't going to do that, and I love and respect her for that, because there's no judgment. She did what was right for her. And talking with somebody this morning, I didn't agree with all of her opinions, but I told her, you have to do what's right for you, and she suggested she goes off social media. There's nothing wrong with going off social media if you feel like you're getting pulled in, and that's what you need to do. For myself, I just scroll on through, it's like, because it really doesn't affect me. It's what algorithm am I going to feed, So just think about that for your mind, body, and soul, and that what you express and what other people express come out in their words, actions, and deeds. Sometimes people say throwed off stuff, but their actions are really sweet. And that's just where they are consciously. Maybe they feel bad about their throwed off words, is why they act, and they have their own healing to do. See? Because not everybody is healed here. In fact, we all are flawed. There's no perfect people here. And to think that there are, that you are, that I am, or that we are, is to be an illusion. Because we all are put in this life. It's designed, I believe, to help us through our journey, that this is just a journey. Through your mind, body, and soul. So I hope that this video has been helpful to you, that you've learned, about negativity, to be able to define what you think is negative. What is it that's negative? And just because somebody says something throwed off or what have you, we just have to know that if they're negative, then they're thinking negatively, and that's really sad. That's what I think when I hear of negativity. And I do have to set those boundaries within myself so that I am able to decide what I want to participate in and not participate in, because I am feeding algorithms too. And do I want my soul? So if people want help, they're talking to me. If they don't want help, then sometimes they're talking to me and I just have to dismiss myself from that situation. And you may have to too. And when we dismiss ourselves, to try to dismiss ourselves without judgment, but to pray for that person. Pray for ourselves for the thought of that person of thinking that they're less than, because sometimes, I mean, that happens in our humanness, that we think things like that. There's plenty for us to do in this lifetime to where we can do something else that's going to be more beneficial than those negative thoughts or taking that negative stuff on. So that's why I say setting that boundary with yourself. You don't have to take that negative stuff on. There's been times I've had to learn when I had negative people in my life, before when I was going through this process, is I don't have to answer the phone for a negative person. I can screen my calls, listen to the voicemail, and if it's something I need to get with, then I will get with it. But sometimes people just call to vent and be negative. So set that boundary with yourself. Don't have an expectation that somebody else is going to be healthy when they're not. And with compassion, maybe they'll get there, but you're not going to get them to get healthy by having a judgment. So we can, choose compassion or we can choose judgment. Which one do you think is going to get you or anyone else to that point? So praying or however you channel getting into acceptance, meditating into acceptance, doing the tapping into acceptance, just doing an activity. Sometimes maybe all you need to do is get outdoors when you're feeling overwhelmed with negativity, is just to walk outside of an office and look at a bird and say, look, these birds ain't tripping. That's what I used to do when I worked in a negative office with some catty women. I would just go outside and be like, oh, look at the birds. They're not tripping, because I can't change other people. There's some people who they've been used to dealing with their kind of way of thinking and the way that they do things and stuff like this. So it's not up to us to change other people. It's up to us to change our thoughts about other people. Then we can get an acceptance about what bothers them to us so that we can heal, or work on that healing process and send them love and light. Sometimes when people are not very nice to me and very negative or what have you, I just decide I can be pissed off and take this on, or I can send this person love and light. And I've found that when I send love and light, I feel better, but maybe my next interaction is even better, because I've done, I still keep smiling when people will be mean to me sometimes. It's just about smiling. And that's like when you set these boundaries with people. When you smile when you're setting the boundaries, when you smile when you ask them why they think once an addict, always an addict, and if they're saying it in an ugly way, then say, that doesn't sound very nice. Why are you saying it like that? And then you can have that, open up that dialogue for conversation once you develop that rapport. But sometimes the rapport has to be developed, like I said, through prayer before. So I rambled on long enough, and I hope that this video has been helpful. We all face some negativity, and it's not fun. So, we have to set boundaries with ourselves and sometimes boundaries with others, but we also need to look deeper underneath that, what the label is we want to attach to that negativity. If somebody's calling somebody an addict, then maybe you want to call them an asshole or somebody who's bigoted, prejudiced, whatever. But look underneath that behavior and see if that is indeed, what it is about that. Why do I think that they're this way? Why do I think this? And then we can realize if it's true. Because a lot of times it's not even true. It comes from our old thought processes, and their old thought processes clicking with our old thought processes, right? So if we're just thought-filled rather than running on that programming, okay, then we can get into acceptance. We can get into acceptance of why we're feeling a certain way, why they're, feeling a certain way, and not take that on by setting the boundaries in the first part. And then we get into acceptance, and when we know that we're being kind in our own heart, that helps acceptance a whole lot. And then we're able to get into hope, because oftentimes when we start behaving differently, the people around us, when they realize that we're not going to counteract with their sore or their wound, then they either won't talk to us, and that's cool too. I've been very happy when some certain people don't want to talk to me. It doesn't piss me off because nobody is obligated in this lifetime to talk to you. They're just not. They're not obligated to talk to us. And sometimes we have to think, do we really want them to talk to us? Most of us aren't taught that when we come home and our feelings are hurt and we tell our moms and dads they won't talk to me, then it's like, oh, well, and then they do something else, but they don't say, maybe you don't want them to talk to you. Maybe your personalities just don't gel, but that doesn't make them bad and that don't make you bad either. What if we taught kids this rather than to be victims and be wounded, so we weren't dealing with that negativity of being victims and being wounded? So there's hope for us when we do that. So now maybe I'll stop, okay? Sometimes I'm just doing this video free flow, and I just got home yesterday, and so I did get some time to think about this topic. And thanks once again to Jennifer D. I always appreciate you, and I love you, and I thank you so much, and I love you all. And I thank you so much for allowing me this time in your day and your life to help you decorate your thoughts and perspectives so that you can deal with what's going on, because I know it's hard. Okay? All right. You are not alone. And I just thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you again next week. So I wish you much peace and love, and thank you so much for tolerating the Grinch too. All right. Bye, y'all.